I know this sounds absolutely unbelievable, but it's the 100% truth. I got the call that every parent dreads. My son, Ethan, had been rushed to the emergency room. I drove like a maniac, my heart pounding a rhythm of pure terror against my ribs. I practically flew into the hospital doors, demanding to know where my boy was, only to be stopped dead in my tracks by a nurse who grabbed my arm, pulled me into an empty supply closet, and hissed two terrifying words, **, a hide. Now, **, I was utterly frozen, confused, adrenaline-fueled, and ready to fight her, until I peered through the crack in the door and realized exactly who she was, hiding me from, and the chilling implications of why I had to disappear. Was I wrong for immediately thinking about my own safety before running to my son? Or would you have done the exact same thing when you saw the person who walked in? Tell me, because I still question that gut reaction. To understand why a simple word like hide sent a seismic shock through me, you need the full, messy, complicated background. Ethan is my world. He's 12 years old, brilliant, a little quiet, and the spitting image of me, thankfully. For the last 5 years, it's just been the two of us. 5 years ago, I escaped a nightmare, a marriage to a man named Marcus. Marcus was charming, successful, and utterly terrifying behind closed doors. He wasn't violent with me in the physical sense, not usually, but his control was absolute, his emotional abuse systematic, and his financial manipulation crippling. He had this way of making me feel like I was slowly losing my mind, questioning my reality until I was a shell of a person. The scariest thing about Marcus, though, was his possessiveness over Ethan. He saw Ethan as an extension of his own perfection, a trophy to be molded and controlled. When I finally found the courage to leave, and trust me, it took over a year of meticulous, terrifying planning, I didn't just leave the marriage. I had to disappear from his entire sphere of influence. We moved 3 states away, changed our names legally to my maiden name, and secured a very strict, airtight custody agreement. Marcus was granted limited, supervised visitation, which he promptly refused, stating that if he couldn't have unfettered access, he'd have none at all. Fine by me. The agreement also contained an ironclad clause. Neither parent was allowed to know the other's residential address, place of employment, or Ethan's school, with all communication handled through a secure legal mediator. This was my shield, the boundary I fought tooth and nail for, built on the premise of self-preservation and protecting Ethan from his father's suffocating intensity. For 5 years it worked. Marcus was a ghost, a legal threat lingering in the paperwork, but physically absent. Ethan flourished, finally free to be the goofy, creative kid he truly was. I, too, began to breathe again, rebuilding my career and my life, always keeping one eye open, always checking the rear-view mirror. The call came around 8 p.m. Ethan had been at a friend's house and, while playing basketball, had taken a terrible fall, twisting his leg in a really bad way. His friend's mom, Sarah, was already on the way to the local city hospital, a place I had always avoided because it was the biggest and thus most likely to attract attention. Sarah was frantic on the phone, telling me they were in the emergency waiting room and that Ethan was in excruciating pain. I dropped everything. The drive was a blur of traffic and anxiety. When I finally screeched into the parking lot, all my carefully constructed walls collapsed. I didn't care about secrecy or rules. I just needed to see my son. I burst through the automatic doors, yelling his name and Sarah's, scanning the busy, brightly lit reception area. That's when it happened. I saw Sarah first, sitting nervously, wringing her hands, and before I could even take 3 steps towards her, I felt a sharp tug on my arm. It was a triage nurse, a tall woman with dark hair and incredibly calm, piercing eyes. She didn't look like she was doing a standard protocol. She looked like she was executing an emergency maneuver. She pulled me hard towards a door labeled storage, pushing me inside with surprising strength. That's when the two terrifying words came out, barely a whisper, asterisk asterisk, hide, now, asterisk asterisk. I was sputtering, demanding to know why, shouting that my son needed me, when she cut me off, her voice low and urgent, looking past my shoulder. Shut up, look. So that's the situation I was in, trapped in a small, stale-smelling supply closet, a sliver of the busy emergency room visible through the door crack. My son in pain just steps away. Before I tell you what happened next, what I saw, and the impossible choice I faced, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have thrown open that door and run to your child, consequences be damned, or would you have obeyed the terrifying command to hide, knowing your family's safety hung in the balance? I pressed my eye against the crack in the door, my breathing shallow, the sterile smell of the closet suddenly suffocating. My vision was focused entirely on the main entrance, and then I saw him, Marcus. He walked in, not frantic like me, but with the cool, effortless arrogance he always possessed. He was wearing an expensive coat, looking utterly composed, and he was talking loudly on his phone, making it clear he was a man of importance and zero patience. He marched straight up to the registration desk, demanding information. The way he carried himself, the assumption of power, the expectation that everyone would jump, was a clear statement. He wasn't just asterisk in asterisk the hospital, he was asterisk taking over asterisk the hospital. My blood ran cold, turning the adrenaline into a paralyzing, icy fear. How did he know? Our communication was mediated. He didn't know my name, my current name, or Ethan's school. So how on earth did he find his way to this specific emergency room at this exact moment? I realized the terrifying truth. He hadn't known I was there, but he knew about Ethan. He must have a team, maybe PI, maybe just pure luck, but he had found his son. The custody agreement stated he had to be notified in case of a serious medical emergency, but only through the mediator, not directly. He must have bypassed the system or simply shown up to the local main ER, banking on coincidence. Or perhaps the hospital had an old record of his name as the father. My heart hammered with the realization that the nurse had saved me from a catastrophic confrontation. The nurse, whose name I didn't even know, quietly tapped the glass of the door, mouthing, "Stay." I watched as Marcus leaned over the counter, his demeanor shifting slightly, a practiced charm coming out as he spoke to the receptionist. Then he turned, his gaze sweeping across the waiting room. I ducked back instinctively, holding my breath, my mind racing. If he saw me, if he saw asterisk us asterisk, the fragile peace I'd built for Ethan would shatter. He would use the incident, my panic, my being there, to file emergency motions, to demand full custody, claiming I was unstable and irresponsible for not keeping Ethan safe, or worse, he would simply take Ethan and vanish. Suddenly, the nurse opened the door just enough for me to hear her whisper, "The custody agreement. He's listed as the biological father. I flagged his name years ago. I'm a friend of Sarah's from way back. She texted me you were coming, and I knew who asterisk he asterisk was instantly. He's here demanding to see his son and demanding your contact information. They won't give him anything yet. You need to get out." My gratitude for this woman, this guardian angel, was immeasurable. I knew I couldn't leave without seeing Ethan, but I couldn't walk out that front door either. "Is there another way?" I whispered, urgency tightening my chest. "Yes." She nodded decisively. There's a staff exit 2 corridors down, but you have to move now. I'll get security to stall him. He's demanding to know why he wasn't notified immediately." I looked at her, my eyes pleading. "Ethan, I need to see him." She glanced at the door, her face tense. "He's being prepped for an X-ray now. Stable, conscious, you'll see him but not here. Sarah is waiting in the X-ray suite hallway, go." I slipped out, a silent shadow moving through the less trafficked service corridors, my footsteps muffled by the professional terror of a mother protecting her child. I finally found Sarah near a closed door, her eyes wide with relief and fear when she saw me. "Oh God," I saw Marcus. He was so calm. She whispered, her voice shaking. She quickly explained that when she gave Ethan's information, the receptionist had asked for the father's name for insurance purposes, which is standard. Marcus must have an automated flag on any emergency room records, matching Ethan's full name and date of birth in the tri-state area. Sarah then quickly texted the nurse, Claire, knowing she had connections. We went into the X-ray cubicle. There was my boy, lying on a gurney, pale and tearful, but his eyes lit up when he saw me. I rushed to him, holding his hand, ignoring the searing pain in my own chest. "Mom, you're here. It hurts so bad." He whimpered, "I know, sweetie. Mom is here. I'm not leaving." I was there for maybe 2 precious, whispered minutes, assuring him I loved him, calming his breathing, promising a big bowl of ice cream once we were home. Sarah was standing guard. Then Claire, the nurse, rushed in, her face grave. "He's getting aggressive. He's threatening to call his lawyers and demanding Ethan be moved to a private room where he can supervise. He's using the custody agreement to claim full parental rights. In a medical emergency, this was his play. He was using the chaos of the ER to seize control." I looked at my son, saw his exhausted, trusting face, and knew what I had to do. I kissed his forehead. "I'm going to step out for a minute, sweetie. Sarah and the nice nurse will stay with you. I'm just getting some paperwork." I pulled Claire aside. "Can you get the X-ray done immediately, and then, can you arrange for a covert discharge? I need him moved to a different hospital, a private one far from here, *tonight*. Claire nodded. "The X-ray is next. I can prep the discharge and ambulance transfer now, but you need to create a massive distraction." I knew what that meant. I had to face the monster, but on my own terms, not near Ethan. I walked back the way I came, this time not hiding. I walked straight into the main waiting room. Marcus was arguing loudly with a bewildered security guard. I locked eyes with him. The moment he saw me, his smug expression dissolved into a mask of cold fury and shock. "You," he roared, pointing a finger at me. "I knew you couldn't stay away from a spotlight. Why are you here? Where have you been hiding my son?" I cut him off, my voice steady, amplified by the high ceilings of the waiting room. "I'm here because this is my son. And you are here because you violated a court order to track us down, Marcus *. The use of his full name, delivered with power, stopped him. The security guards looked confused. "You don't get to demand anything here." I continued, taking a step closer, projecting total confidence I didn't feel. "You forfeited that right 5 years ago. You are a threat to his emotional well-being, and I am documenting your unauthorized presence and belligerent behavior in a medical facility. You want to call your lawyers? Go ahead. I'll have mine on the phone faster than you can hang up. But right now, you are distracting medical personnel and scaring patients. Leave." His face was purple with rage. He took a threatening step toward me. "You think you can just show up and dictate?" I didn't let him finish. I turned to the security guards. "This man is not legally permitted to know the location of his minor son due to a court order. He is harassing staff and demanding access that is restricted. Please escort him out, or I will be calling the police and pressing charges for violation of protective custody. That was the magic word. The security guards, seeing the severity of my claims and Marcus's escalating aggression, moved immediately to surround him. He sputtered, raged, and threatened lawsuits, but they guided him firmly toward the exit. It was a chaotic, spectacular meltdown, a scene I had orchestrated solely to buy Claire and Sarah time. As Marcus was dragged out, still yelling legal threats, I gave a brief nod to the security chief and then rushed back to the service corridor. Claire met me. It worked, he's gone, X-ray is clear, just a severe sprain, no break. Sarah is with him. The ambulance is prepping now for transfer to the private children's clinic across town. They'll use a side entrance. I felt a wave of dizzying relief. I kissed Claire on the cheek. You saved us. I choked out. I gave a statement to the chief nurse, detailing Marcus's violations, ensuring a permanent flag was put on his name at that hospital. I then joined Ethan in the back of the private ambulance. As we drove away, I watched the distant city hospital lights shrink in the window, knowing I had just fought, and won, the most terrifying battle of my life. Ethan was safe, slightly drowsy from pain meds, and clueless about the dramatic confrontation that had just occurred. He was discharged the next morning, safe and sound, and we immediately hired a new legal team to file a formal report of Marcus's violation, seeking to further restrict his already limited access. We tightened our security, changed our routine, and went back to our quiet, safe life. That night, lying in bed, I realized I wasn't the weak, gaslit woman Marcus had left behind. I was a lioness. I was a fighter who could look fear in the eye and use it as fuel. I saved my son, not by blindly rushing in, but by listening to a stranger and making a calculated, painful decision to hide, then returning to confront the threat when my son was safely out of harm's way. It felt good, really good, to finally use the system and my own strength to put him back in the box he belonged in. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, but every nerve-wracking moment was worth it for the peace Ethan now has. So that's the end of this terrifying chapter. I stood up to the past, and I protected our future. I may have paused for a moment of fear, but that pause allowed me to win the war. I hope you found strength in my story. Like this video if you think I made the right call to hide and then confront him. Subscribe for more stories like this of fighting for freedom, and share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. I'll see you all in the next story.